My name is Erin. I'm 25 and I like art and science and stuff like that. Kind of the main sensory things that I have are usually to do with like heat and like temperature, and then also like physical, like touching stuff. So especially with heat, usually like sweat is like a big one for me, where it gets very hard to kind of like, I don't know, like calm myself down if I'm like hot and sweaty, and or if there's like the wrong kind of textured cloth, or you know, other people touching me, or like some different kinds of like makeup as well, which is, you know, it's taking me like a really long time to find makeup that doesn't kind of set me off. Bright lights are another one. Like I really can't stand really bright lights. Like I remember back in high school, they had these like really bright lights in all the classrooms, and like my favorite class, there's this one teacher who was a bit of a hippie, and she'd turn all the lights off and open the windows, and so it'd be much darker and much colder as a result. And it was like my favorite classroom, even though I wasn't very good at it.
There was one occasion, because different lights and sounds definitely had an impact on her, and we went to see a Leonardo da Vinci exhibition because Erin loved art and I quite like art, and so we went and saw this Leonardo da Vinci exhibition, and it was in it wasn't in a gallery, it was in like a tent. So the lighting was quite unusual in there, so they were highlighting obviously the different experiments and things of Leonardo da Vinci, and she could not cope with that lighting in that arena. So we knew we just had to leave. So there were obviously occasions like that where we, as a family, we had to adjust what we were doing to support her, because we knew that it was having a big impact on her and she was really struggling. So she was having a complete meltdown in the middle of this exhibition, and it was the lighting that was causing that. So definitely adjustments as a family. School was very supportive, and I tied in with the Positive Partnerships programs around that time as well, so after my son was diagnosed as well. And the support with the schools really was instrumental in their success in getting through school as well. So I did have problems with some teachers, I'm not going to lie about that, so who didn't really get on board with the autism bus and understanding of that, and that did cause difficulties at times. But on a whole, having that support really helped me as a parent, knowing that there were other parents going through the same thing. I've made friendships through this, through Positive Partnerships that are still ongoing, and so have my children, sort of connected with other kids on the spectrum as well.
So I'm vegetarian, but I have hated the texture of meat ever since I was like little. So like, if you look at kind of my patterns of eating, or just I'd eat everything and just leave the meat on the plate. So it's kind of a bit obvious that I'd become vegetarian, because I can't stand the texture of it. It's just something about it just, I think, grosses me out a bit, in like it doesn't feel right on my tongue, kind of a thing. Yeah.
So I guess Erin wasn't diagnosed until she was 14 years old, after my son, who's younger than Erin, was diagnosed as a 6-year-old. And then we kind of looked at Erin and went, oh my God, things are adding up. So, you know, as a toddler, she had issues with food and eating, especially. She's now fully vegetarian, but even as a 3-year-old, she didn't like meat. She didn't like the textures of meat. She would only eat mince, sausages, bacon, chicken and tuna, and that was it. So a beautiful roast dinner, she would just scream the house down and refuse to eat it. And obviously we had no idea what was going on with that at the time. Yeah, so not so much smells, it was more textures with food that affected Erin. So with the meats, or that now that she's fully vegetarian, if I'm cooking a roast or if I've got the slow cooker on, she will not come anywhere near the kitchen in the house. She actually prepares all her own meals now. She doesn't trust us. She thinks we're going to use the meat spoon in her food. So she has all her own utensils, and you know, she would go through the cupboard as a child and sniff all the plates. So there was obviously a smell that I couldn't detect, but she could detect. So she would sniff all the plates and she would sniff all the cups until she found one that smelt right. I know, it sounds bizarre, but it's Erin, that's why we love her. So Erin now has her own sets of plates, cups, cutlery, knives, chopping boards. She has her own air fryer that she uses to cook her food in. She will not wash it in the same dishwasher with everything else. It has to be washed separately. She won't hang her clothes on the line because it gets the outside smells on it, so she has to use the dryer or dry them in the house. You know, and her life is kind of adjusted. That's her norm, and it's our norm as well. And I guess she's made her own adjustments to fit that in.
I was really bad with my hair. Like, I used to just walk around with massive knots in my hair. Like, even now, I don't really brush it. It just kind of sits. Yeah, I'll put a lot of conditioner just to get the knots out, and then, but I don't like brushing my hair. It feels kind of like, I don't know, like it's painful almost, like not physical pain, but painful. I'm not sure. Yeah, just really uncomfortable, kind of, yeah.
There were issues with hair brushing. She hated having her hair brushed. And you know, once we knew what we knew about Asperger's, it all kind of tied in and we realised what was actually going on.
I've been working with my psychologist to kind of do breathing techniques to kind of calm myself down, get through whatever is bothering me. But I will avoid things that are kind of unpleasant. Like, for instance, I was actually meant to start university this year, but the accommodation was just, it's like a big bombardment of like everything I hate. So deferred for a year so I can find somewhere else to live that's not actually on the campus, because that was just awful. Yeah. It was just like, it was really hot, first of all, so straight off, terrible. And just the sounds as well, because the way the building was set up was that there was like a courtyard with like restaurants and stuff at the bottom, but all of the windows were like facing it, so it was like a big echo thing, and it was just so loud. And even like at night when it's just even a car passing by, it's so loud because of the way the building was designed, just an echo. Yeah. Lighting, first of all, if I go into a store where the lighting is really harsh, or they've like pumping perfume and smells through the store, or it's loud, I will usually just say like, okay, we've been here like 5 minutes, let's go somewhere else. And I usually stick to places where I know it's gonna be sort of okay, like more tolerable. But yeah, new places kind of freak me out a bit. So I usually don't like going to new places on my own, just in case like I start having a bit of a meltdown. I can go somewhere else and, you know, have someone with me to kind of help me a bit.
And you know, she's actually struggled a lot with a lot of sensory issues. She doesn't like being touched, she doesn't like touching things, and that's caused issues all through her whole life. We use so much paper towel in the home, it's not funny. We probably should have shares in paper towel companies because everything has to be handled with paper towel. So, and you know, it's affected her life as an adult as well. So, you know, she did start uni and had to pull out because of the sights and the sounds and the smells and the touch and everything. She just couldn't cope with that. Okay, so when we were going, this is before she was diagnosed, and we used to have to try and implement things that we know would stop her from having meltdowns going out as a young child. So she did have a special blankie that she carried everywhere that was a sensory thing, and that would definitely calm her down. So it had the satin, and she would have that till she was about 5 or 6, and we couldn't go anywhere without it because it was definitely a calming thing. And this is before we knew anything about what was going on with her. And the day we lost that, well, it was absolutely devastating because we left it in a park, but and there was nothing could replace it. And yeah, that was not a good time.